Hey, space explorers!
The year was 2189. Commander Eli Voss floated silently inside the observation deck of the Horizon, a research vessel orbiting the edge of the Kepler expanse, the furthest point any human had ever reached. Outside, a pale blue nebula pulsed like a slow heartbeat against the endless black. Inside, only the hum of the life support system kept him company. That and his own breathing, steady and tired. It had been 423 days since Eli last heard a human voice. The mission logs still updated, the systems still responded. But Earth had gone silent. At first, he thought it was a comms malfunction, then a solar flare, then a delay. But as the months passed, the silence became something else. Not absence, but presence, as if the universe itself was listening. He recorded another entry. His voice echoed through the empty cabin. Mission Day 423. No incoming transmissions. Oxygen levels stable. Psychological stability, questionable. He smiled weakly at that last part. Humor, even synthetic, was the only warmth left. He drifted closer to the viewport and looked at the nebula. It shimmered faintly, like an eye slowly opening. Eli remembered what his daughter had once told him before he left. "When you look at the stars, Dad, remember that we're looking back." That memory lingered in his mind like starlight that never fades, faint but eternal. He turned off the cabin lights. The ship dissolved into darkness, and the nebula's glow spilled through the glass, painting his face in soft blue light. For a moment, he imagined he could see her face reflected there, her laughter, her small hands waving goodbye. But reflections lie. He blinked, and she was gone. Eli whispered, "What are we doing out here? Searching for new worlds? Or running from the ones we already broke?" No one answered. Only the quiet hum of existence itself.
He floated toward the center of the cabin, weightless. A man untethered not only from gravity, but from meaning. Every day he followed the same sequence. Check the reactor core, monitor external radiation, log the readings. And every night he stared into the nebula and felt it staring back. At some point, he stopped counting the days. Time aboard the Horizon had dissolved into a kind of dream. Or maybe he had. Sometimes, when fatigue blurred the edges of his mind, he swore he could hear voices inside the static of the ship's comms. Not words, just faint impressions. The memory of laughter, the rhythm of his daughter's heartbeat when she'd fall asleep against his chest. "Am I remembering?" he murmured once. "Or is the universe remembering me?" He began writing messages again. Not mission reports, but letters. He recorded them into the ship's black box, his voice calm but trembling. "To whoever finds this, I used to believe space was empty, but the truth is, it's full of echoes, full of everything we leave behind." He paused, staring into the pulsing light beyond the viewport. The nebula's rhythm had changed. Its glow seemed to respond to his words, softening, deepening, like it was listening. And then, faintly, impossibly, through the comms, a signal. A single tone, repeating every 7 seconds. Not noise, not random. A pattern. He turned the receiver gain to maximum. The sound filled the cabin like a breath returning to a corpse. 3 tones. Silence. 3 tones again. SOS? He whispered. But the pitch was lower, almost human. The next hours blurred. Eli aligned the ship's sensors toward the signal's origin, deep inside the nebula's heart. He hesitated. Entering a nebula without proper shielding meant suicide. But then again, he thought, maybe he had already crossed that line long ago. Course correction, he said into the ship's AI log. Heading into the anomaly. The engines ignited, their soft vibration breaking the stillness of endless night. The nebula grew larger, filling the viewport like a living ocean of light. And somewhere inside that light, he felt something familiar. As the horizon breached the outer veil of the nebula, every sensor on the ship went blind. The stars vanished. There was no up or down, only color, motion, and sound that seemed to come from inside his own mind. It wasn't chaos. It was order, hidden in rhythm. Waves of light moved like breathing, as if the entire nebula was alive. Eli's heart raced. He gripped the console, feeling his pulse sync with the flickering glow beyond the glass. And then, within that pulsating ocean, he saw it. A faint silhouette. A human shape drifting, illuminated by the storm of light. He gasped. Impossible! He zoomed the cameras. There was no spacesuit, no body. Just light, molded into a human outline, reaching toward the ship. He commanded the AI, but the ship didn't respond. The voice module flickered and then spoke in his own voice. Eli Voss, Commander, Mission Horizon. Recording active. Day 1. Day 1! His stomach turned cold. The AI was replaying his first mission log, the one he'd recorded over a year ago, before Earth went silent. He listened as his own younger voice echoed through the cabin. Departure complete. My daughter waved as we left orbit. I promised her I'd come home with stories. The light outside brightened, wrapping the ship in a soft, pulsating glow. Eli felt tears rise unbidden. Is that what you are? He whispered. A memory? My own reflection? The voice replied, not through speakers, but directly in his thoughts. Not reflection, resonance. The nebula flared, and suddenly he saw flashes, images cascading through his mind. His home, his daughter, the moment of launch. Moments he had forgotten, now returning in waves. We carry you, the voice said. Every thought, every memory, every echo you leave becomes part of us. Eli closed his eyes. For the first time in months, maybe years, he didn't feel alone. The hum of the ship melted into the pulse of the nebula, and he felt his heartbeat fade into something vast, something infinite. He whispered, "If this is death, it's not what I feared." The voice responded softly, "Not death, return." The light enveloped him completely, and in that final moment of awareness, before everything dissolved, Eli saw a small shape before him, a little girl, her outline glowing, smiling. "Hi, Dad."
The light pulsed around him, warm, neither blinding nor cold, like the embrace of everything he had ever loved and lost. He reached out instinctively toward the little girl, toward the echo of his own life. His fingers passed through her glow, and a strange calm washed over him. It wasn't his daughter, not exactly. It was the memory of her, distilled, living inside the nebula. "Where am I?" he whispered. "Everywhere," the voice answered. "Every thought, every echo, every moment you ever lived or imagined, it is all here." Time no longer mattered. There were no days, no years, only the pulse, the resonance, the flow of memories intertwining with light. And yet somehow Eli remembered Earth. He remembered the smell of rain on concrete, the hum of traffic, the tiny hand in his own. He remembered the ache of absence, the longing for home. "I wanted to go back," he said softly. "I wanted to live, not just exist in memory." The nebula's light shifted, forming a path, a ribbon stretching back toward the ship's coordinates, a bridge between the infinite and the finite. "Return if you wish, but understand, to return you carry the weight of all you have become." Eli hesitated. Could he ever leave this place, this vast ocean of memory and light that made him feel complete? And then he realized the journey was never about returning. It was about understanding. Understanding that life in its entirety, joy, loss, longing, silence, was never separate from the universe itself. He let himself dissolve further into the light, feeling every fragment of himself echoing outward, connecting with stars and planets and moments far beyond comprehension. Yet within that vastness, a single thought remained, soft, human, unwavering. "I was here. I loved. I lived." And for the first time, in what felt like eternity, Eli smiled. The nebula pulsed one final time. The ship's sensors picked up nothing, only a faint trace of energy, a whisper of warmth lingering where he had been. Somewhere across the void, the universe remembered him. And in that memory, he would always exist.
Epilogue. Echoes carried home. Years passed, or maybe centuries. Time had no meaning here, only for those still bound to planets and clocks. Back on Earth, humanity continued its ceaseless march among the stars. Colonies rose on Mars, research vessels charted distant systems, and children once fascinated by the night sky grew old, their eyes still tracing the faint glow of distant nebulae. And somewhere in the silent deep of the Kepler expanse, the horizon remained. The ship itself showed no sign of life, no movement, no signal, yet instruments occasionally detected faint bursts of energy, irregular, almost musical. Scientists and engineers called it an anomaly. They couldn't explain it. They recorded it, measured it, and sometimes whispered among themselves, half joking, "Maybe it's someone out there." They didn't know the truth, that inside the nebula, Commander Eli Voss no longer existed as a body, but as something more, a ripple of consciousness, memory, and love. His experiences, his laughter, his longing had become part of the universe itself, intertwined with the very light and matter of the stars. When a probe passed through the nebula, its sensors picked up patterns in the light, faint, deliberate, echoing sequences, not noise, not random, music, or perhaps a message. I remember, I loved, I lived. Somewhere, across the vast emptiness, humanity's presence and the echo of one solitary astronaut converged. The universe was not silent. It never had been. And in the quiet, if one listened carefully enough, the faintest trace of a heartbeat could be heard, carried forever in the light of the stars. Eli's consciousness flowed within the light, yet he no longer felt lost. The silence of space, once terrifying, now hummed like a heartbeat, a rhythm connecting every star, every planet,
every fragment of life. He realized he was no longer alone. He had become part of the universe's memory. Amid the infinite glow, a question emerged from the depths of his thoughts. What about the future? What becomes of what I leave behind? The light seemed to respond, subtle and warm. You are an echo, and echoes shape what is yet to come. Eli understood then that the universe did not merely record the past, it learned from it. His longing, his love, his fears, all were rippling outward, influencing existence in ways he could not yet comprehend. A gentle current of light carried him along. Through it, visions of his past flickered, missions completed, Earth's blue oceans, his daughter's laughter. But now, instead of loneliness, he felt participation. He was woven into the vast tapestry of being. Then a faint voice appeared, almost like a whisper from the edge of his memory. Eli. Was it a memory of his daughter? Or was it the universe speaking? He could not tell, and it no longer mattered. Past and present had merged into something greater. I am here, he whispered, and I am everywhere. The light around him pulsed like a song, a cosmic melody that resonated with every corner of existence. Eli's consciousness, once confined to flesh and bone, now flowed freely, a bridge between the finite and the infinite. And somewhere, in the distant reaches of space, perhaps a future traveler would encounter the faintest echo of him, a ripple in the fabric of light, and feel a human had been here and the universe had remembered.
Eli drifted deeper into the nebula, the light folding around him like a memory made tangible. He no longer thought of himself as a man alone, a single consciousness adrift. He was part of the stars, the whispers of forgotten worlds, the laughter and tears of humanity itself. The nebula's pulse became a lullaby, soft yet infinite, carrying him beyond time, beyond fear, beyond longing. And in that silence, he finally understood. Life is not measured by the days we walk upon a planet, but by the echoes we leave behind, the love, the wonder, the fleeting moments that ripple outward, unseen yet eternal. Somewhere far across the universe, a probe would detect faint signals, strange patterns in the light. Scientists would record them as anomalies, mysteries they could never fully explain. But they were more than that. They were Eli, his memories, his heart, his soul, carried across the void. And in the quiet expanse of space, if one listened closely enough, one could hear a single truth, eternal and unwavering. I was here, I loved, I lived, and in some small way, I remain. The stars continued to shine, the nebula continued to pulse, and Eli, finally, at last, was home.